Sleepaway Camp Episode 3, The Unseen Opening Scene. The episode opens in the aftermath of the brutal murder of Samantha, her body found desecrated and left for the counselors to discover. The atmosphere is thick with tension as Julie leads a somber meeting with the staff, trying to maintain order but clearly shaken. The camera lingers on Angela, who watches the meeting from the shadows, her eyes distant. A chilling shot shows her hands trembling as she grips the edge of the table, but no one seems to notice. Act 1. The counselors are on edge following Samantha's death. Julie decides to temporarily halt camp activities, insisting that the campers stay inside for their safety. The search for answers continues, but the tension between the counselors is palpable. Kate and Eddie, both determined to find out what really happened to Samantha, decide to investigate on their own, outside of the official search. Key scenes. Kate confronts Angela, demanding to know if she knows anything about the murder. Angela is unusually calm, simply telling Kate that she has nothing to offer and that the camp's history will reveal more than they think. Eddie watches this exchange from afar, growing more suspicious of Angela's involvement in the strange events. Kate and Eddie head into the woods together, following the trail they found in the previous episode. They discover an old shack, abandoned and overgrown with vines, hidden deep in the forest. The shack is eerily untouched by time, with dusty windows and a rusted door that creaks as it opens. Inside, they find strange markings on the walls, symbols that don't seem to belong to any known culture, along with old tools and remnants of what could be ritualistic objects. The shack feels otherworldly, like it was preserved for a reason. Act 2. While Kate and Eddie continue to investigate the shack, the scene shifts to Angela, who begins to experience disturbing dreams. Flashbacks to her childhood at the camp play out in fragmented, haunting images. We see a young Angela hiding from something, the terrified look on her face as she witnesses violent events, images of screaming campers, blood, and flames. Angela wakes up in a cold sweat, shaking and disoriented. The dreams become more vivid each night, and she begins to suspect that her own memories may not be what she thought. Key scenes. In one of her dreams, Angela is standing in front of a campfire with a group of campers. A figure stands behind her, whispering her name. The face is blurry, but Angela's face reflects deep fear. The dream shifts, and Angela is suddenly in the woods, running from an unseen force. She trips and falls, and a familiar hand reaches out to pull her up. She doesn't recognize it, but it feels both comforting and terrifying at the same time. The dream ends abruptly when she is awakened by a loud noise outside her cabin. She stands at the window, staring into the woods, but there's nothing there. The quiet is suffocating, and she feels like she's being watched. Her paranoia grows as she hears faint whispers in the distance. Eddie and Kate's investigation at the shack reveals something even darker. The shack was once used by the camp's original owner, David Trenton, who was rumored to have been involved in occult practices and dark rituals. Tommy, having gotten his hands on some of the old camp records, reveals that Trenton was believed to have mysteriously disappeared years ago. The shack was his last known location, and there are theories that he may have been involved in the deaths that plagued the camp long ago. Act 3. While Kate and Eddie start piecing together the connection between Trenton, the shack, and the camp's bloody past, a new counselor named Gary is introduced. Gary is friendly, charismatic, and eager to fit in with the rest of the group. However, there's something unsettling about him. His overzealous friendliness feels almost too good to be true. Julie seems to trust him immediately, but Eddie can't shake the feeling that Gary is hiding something. Key scenes. Gary bonds with the campers and counselors quickly, offering to help with the search and offering words of encouragement. His eagerness seems to mask something darker, and his constant insistence on being helpful raises suspicions. When Kate tries to talk to him, she notices his strange knowledge of the camp's history. He casually mentions David Trenton as if he knows more than he should. Later, Eddie overhears a conversation between Gary and Angela in the woods. Gary seems to be asking her if the time is right, and Angela responds in a cryptic, almost detached tone, saying that it's only a matter of time before everything comes to the surface. The conversation is interrupted when Julie calls for them, and both Gary and Angela quickly end the discussion, but the exchange leaves Eddie uneasy. As Kate and Eddie continue their search for answers, they begin to suspect that Gary's arrival may not be a coincidence. His deep knowledge of the camp's troubled past and his strange connection to Angela raise more questions than answers. Kate and Eddie start connecting the dots between the shack, Trenton, and the new counselor's cryptic remarks. ACT 4. The episode builds to a tense climax as Angela's past begins to unravel, both for her and the viewers. The disturbing dreams continue, revealing more about her troubled childhood and the violent history of the camp. As she confronts Julie about the strange occurrences, Julie begins to notice Angela's increasing paranoia and unsettling behavior. Key scenes: Angela has another dream, this time with the face of the mysterious figure in her visions now clearly revealed as Gary. In the dream, he's standing at the campfire, staring at her with dark, knowing eyes. He says, "You can't hide from the past, Angela. It's always watching." Angela wakes up in a panic, her heart racing, realizing that she might be trapped in a cycle she can't escape. Meanwhile, Kate and Eddie return to the shack to find that someone has been there recently. Fresh footprints lead to the cabin, and the door is slightly ajar. Inside, they find a strange book filled with occult symbols and writings about the camp's original owner, Trenton. They realize that Gary may be connected to Trenton and the rituals that occurred years ago. But before they can investigate further, they hear someone approaching and quickly flee, but not without taking the book with them. Cliffhanger: the episode ends with Gary standing alone near the campfire, staring into the flames. Angela approaches him quietly from behind, and they exchange a knowing look. Gary whispers, "It's time." The camera cuts to black, leaving the audience to wonder if Gary's true intentions are as sinister as they seem, and what role Angela is playing in the unfolding events. Themes in this episode: the unseen past. This episode explores the idea that the dark history of the camp is still active, unseen by most, and slowly surfacing through Angela's nightmares, Gary's strange presence, and Kate and Eddie's investigation. The past is not only returning, but actively influencing the present. Trust and betrayal: Gary's charismatic nature masks his true intentions, creating an atmosphere of distrust. As Eddie and Kate dig deeper into the mystery, they realize that no one is who they seem to be. Psychological horror: Angela's dreams and her unraveling memories reflect her inner turmoil, and the episode suggests that her connection to the camp may be far deeper than anyone could have imagined. The mystery deepens, and the line between who can be trusted and who is hiding something becomes increasingly blurred as the dark forces at play grow stronger. Episode 4: The Blood Moon opening scene. The episode opens with an eerie red moon rising over Camp Arawak, casting an unnatural, crimson glow over the entire camp. The atmosphere is heavy, the air thick with tension. Angela is standing outside her cabin, staring up at the blood moon, her face expressionless. She mutters to herself, "It's time," before quickly retreating into her cabin, locking the door behind her. Her eyes are wide with fear and anticipation, as though she knows that something terrible is about to unfold. ACT 1. The night of the blood moon marks a new wave of violence at the camp. As the camp settles into a tense calm, the campers are warned to stay inside, as strange occurrences begin escalating. Julie tries to maintain control, ensuring that everyone remains in their cabins for safety, but it's clear that the mood has shifted dramatically. The counselors are on edge, and the campers' fear is palpable. Key scenes: Tommy begins to feel that the events of the past are starting to spiral out of control. He confides in Kate about his growing belief that something supernatural is at play, something far darker than a simple series of accidents. They both agree that they need to do everything they can to keep the campers safe, but they're growing increasingly aware that they don't know who to trust. Meanwhile, Angela grows increasingly paranoid. She believes someone at the camp is out to destroy her, perhaps one of the counselors or a camper with knowledge of her past. She begins to isolate herself more, locking her cabin door and refusing to interact with anyone. Julie notices Angela's erratic behavior and tries to check on her, but Angela pushes her away, her eyes wild with fear. When Julie mentions the strange occurrences, Angela cryptically says, "The blood moon isn't the only thing rising tonight." ACT 2. As the blood moon fully rises, the campers experience an even greater sense of dread. In the middle of the night, Jesse, a young camper, goes missing. The counselors search the camp frantically, but there is no sign of him. Panic sets in as the camp is officially placed on lockdown, and Julie orders everyone to stay inside their cabins until further notice. Key scenes: Julie leads a group of counselors into the woods to search for Jesse, but they only find signs of struggle, a blood-stained trail leading to the edge of the forest. The campers are terrified, and the remaining counselors begin to question whether the killer is one of them. Eddie and Kate suggest that the recent events could be part of a larger, coordinated attack, but Julie insists that they stay calm and stick to the search. As Julie tries to maintain control, Angela grows more unstable, becoming convinced that someone is watching her. She locks herself in her cabin, muttering about betrayal and revenge. She believes that whoever is responsible for the violence knows about her secret past, and she fears the truth is about to come to light. Meanwhile, Gary continues to act unusually, offering cryptic suggestions to Angela about the camp's true purpose and what's coming with the blood moon. His behavior raises even more suspicion, and Eddie starts to connect the dots between Gary, Angela, and the unsettling events that have been occurring. Eddie confronts Gary about his involvement in the camp's dark history, but Gary brushes him off, offering only vague reassurances. Act 3. With Jesse still missing, the campers are becoming more afraid. Julie holds a meeting in the main lodge to reassure everyone that everything will be okay, but the unease in the room is undeniable. Some campers demand to leave, while others are too terrified to speak. The camp is starting to unravel, and Julie knows she can't keep everyone locked down forever. Key scenes: in a moment of clarity, Julie goes to confront Angela again, but when she enters Angela's cabin, she finds it completely empty. There is no sign of her, and the only thing left behind is a strange, blood-red symbol scrawled on the door in what appears to be blood. Julie's suspicion grows, and she begins to worry that Angela may know more than she's letting on. Eddie and Kate follow up on their theory that someone at the camp is trying to sabotage everything. They confront Gary about his connections to David Trenton and the occult rituals that were rumored to have been performed at the camp. Gary's demeanor shifts, and he admits that the camp's history isn't as innocent as it seems, but he still refuses to tell them everything, warning them that they're getting too close to the truth. Angela is found later that night in the woods, standing alone beneath the blood moon. She's in a trance-like state, her eyes glazed over, whispering to herself in an ancient language. When Julie finds her, Angela snaps out of her trance and says, "They're coming. The truth is coming for all of us." She looks at Julie with wild, fearful eyes, and Julie begins to realize that Angela may not be as innocent as she once thought. Act 4. As the blood moon reaches its zenith, another brutal incident occurs, this time involving Peter, a camper who had been acting strangely for days. He's found in the woods, unconscious, his body covered in blood, with an expression of sheer terror frozen on his face. The camp is once again plunged into chaos as Julie struggles to maintain order. Key scenes: in a desperate attempt to stop the violence, Julie takes the matter into her own hands, organizing a final search of the woods for Jesse and the truth behind the events plaguing the camp. However, the search leads to a horrifying discovery: a hidden graveyard in the woods, filled with old, decayed remains. Among the bodies, Julie finds the remains of David Trenton, the camp's original owner, buried alongside several campers from years past. It's clear that the violent history of the camp runs deeper than anyone could have imagined. Gary appears again, offering a chilling explanation. The blood moon marks the culmination of a cycle that began long ago. It's a time when the camp's dark past comes to claim its due. He tells Julie that she can't stop what's coming. In a moment of clarity, Julie realizes that Gary's role at the camp has been to guide Angela toward fulfilling the ritual of sacrifice that was started by David Trenton. Cliffhanger. The episode ends with Angela disappearing into the woods, her intentions unclear. As Julie calls for her, the camera pulls back to reveal Angela standing near the old memorial site, facing the blood moon. Her hands are raised, and she begins to chant softly, her voice growing louder as the blood moon casts its final red glow over the camp. The camera cuts to black, leaving the audience unsure of whether Angela is preparing for a dark ritual or if she's about to unleash something far more dangerous. Themes in this episode: the unraveling of control. Julie's struggle to maintain order and control over the camp as the violence escalates represents the breakdown of authority and the encroachment of chaos, mirroring the uncontrollable power of the blood moon. Paranoia and betrayal. Angela's growing paranoia and Gary's cryptic behavior create a sense of distrust among the group. As Julie becomes more suspicious of Angela, she begins to question whether the real danger lies within the camp itself. Cycles of evil. The blood moon represents the cyclical nature of evil at Camp Arawak, with David Trenton's legacy still looming over the camp. The episode suggests that the violence is part of a repeating cycle, driven by supernatural forces. The episode ends on a tense note, with the blood moon heralding the return of the camp's darkest secrets and the question of whether anyone will make it out alive.